You're listening to the official podcast of Bloodstock Open Air Festival. Bloodstock Radio.
Yes, indeed. Welcome to Bloodstock Radio, the official podcast of the Bloodstock Open Air Festival. This is podcast number 33. My name is Squatter, and the song that we opened you up there with was by Chrysler. It's called In Death We Shall Not Die, and it's on last year's Peace in Our Time album. And tonight we have a little treat for all you Chrysler fans out there, as a couple of weeks ago I went over to their base camp to have a little catch up with them, and the long and the short of it is they just wouldn't shut up. basically. So the way I see it, that if I had to put up with them yakking on for ages, then you should too. So tonight we've got a Chrysler special, and we're having an extended chat to them about life, the universe and everything, and with a little bit of Bloodstock and Chrysler stuff thrown in there as well, of course. We'll have a break in the middle for our Metal to the Masses update and some festival news with some more music at the end, but other than that, it's pretty much Chrysler all the way, so strap yourselves in and off we go with our Chrysler special on Bloodstock Radio.
The Big Interview.
Okay, this is Squatter on Bloodstock Radio, and next up we're having a chat to the guys from Chrysler. How are we doing, guys?
Good, mate.
Cool, excellent. So, yes, thought I'd have a bit of a catch-up with things, because you guys have got a lot of things going on at the moment. So you've got band lineup changes, and you've just announced some rather tasty-looking gigs for later on in the year, but we'll come round to all that first, because obviously we are Bloodstock Radio, so Bloodstock comes first, as always. So, yeah, you guys played the Sophie stage back in 2016, as I remember. I remember possibly having a chat to you that weekend, because we interviewed a ridiculous amount of bands that weekend, but we did interview you, I think. But yeah, give us a recap on that and your memories of that weekend, basically.
Well, that all came around basically because I got asked by one of the local promoters, House of Pain Promotions with Sky and Bobby and everybody. They asked me to judge all the heats of the Metal to the Masses, and as sort of part of it, Sky sort of asked if we'd like to play the final, seeing as our old band Gutworm played Bloodstock in 2004. And he asked us if we wanted to jump on, and they have like guest bands on, etc. I said, do you want to play? And we're like, yeah, okay then. And obviously he knew about Chrysler, that just like started. We went along and set everything up and happily played this show on the final. It was the first time they'd held the final with the Metal to the Masses in Northamptonshire. And Simon was there, Mr. Hall, and we played and had a bit of a blinder of a gig, and by the third song or so in, he was pretty much on the side of the stage with us, sort of thing, just rocking out, and we were like, that's pretty decent. Yeah, and then at the end of the night, he basically was like, yeah, I think you guys should be playing Bloodstock next year, and we were like, oh, cool. We'll have some of that then.
He sort of just said it, didn't he?
Yeah.
He sort of just, when he gave out the results, he just said,
yeah,
don't be surprised if you see these guys in the field in Derbyshire next year.
Exactly what he said.
It was like, and we stood there thinking, that'd be good.
Yeah, who's he talking about?
And then we got the call, didn't we?
So what year Metal to the Masses was that you played in? Was that actually that
was
year?
2015. We played the final, yeah.
And you played it the year after?
Yeah.
He basically had a little word with us after and said, would you do it? And we were like, well, yeah, but that was before the 2015 Bloodstock had even happened. So we sort of sat on that for
over
13 months.
Yeah, he does do that now and again, because obviously, they've always they know how many slots they've got in the back of their head, and we'll come on to that later on, the discussion that we had to have at the Metal to the Masses final earlier last year, when you guys judged that, and we tried to get two bands through, and he was like, no, you can't do that. We'll come back to that. So tell us about the actual the weekend then, 2016, we playing at the Sophie stage.
It was pretty much everything that a band that goes to play Bloodstock, again, a stage like the Sophie stage is pretty prestigious, and it was exactly what you want it to be. All the crowd and everything, the whole weekend, it's just so well organised and so well run. And I think one of the most impressive things that we came away with from that weekend is we were probably more blown away by the ability and general cohesiveness of the techs on the stage, all the guitar techs, the drum techs, everything. It's literally, you wanted for nothing. And you go to some shows, obviously, and you sort of cater for yourself, you set your own stuff, you do this, and you get used to it over the years, but you go and play somewhere like that, and you turned around and looked for something, and they'd already got it, they'd already taped it down, and it was exactly where you want it.
Yeah.
And they were looking at you, going, what do you want next? And you're like, where's my... Oh, there it is.
Cake.
And they've given you your guitar, everything's done, and your things are mic'd up, and you're literally looking around for something to do, and they've done it. And you're like, wow. And you go, right, okay, so normally the majority of gigs are still setting up 2 or 3 minutes before you go on, and it's all a bit, we got minutes to spare, and we were just like, oh, so this is how it happens at a proper festival, where it's all done and all like kept in house, and everybody knows each other. They got a great team that all work there, and it was like clockwork. It was brilliant, really, really good. So
that's on the Sophie stage, but I've had that from New Blood bands as well. They said exactly the same things. Literally gone to set their gear up, they turn around and it's just set up, done. For
really,
them,
really, really well done.
Wow.
Yeah, so, and Gutworm played Hellfest in 2007, 6 or 7. Yeah, France. We played Hellfest over in France, and that was to the wire, jobby. Like literally, oh, where's my thing? Oh, hello. and you're on. It was just like, Christ, on a bike, it was shocking.
Yeah.
Good, obviously, but it was really, really stressful. And in comparison, how they run everything at Bloodstock, it was just like a well-oiled machine.
Yeah.
It was awesome. And then you go on stage, and you feel great about it because you've had no stress in the half an hour before you go on. It's like, that's easy.
Yeah.
And you go on and you feel great when you play, and it's just like, well, yeah, and the reception from the crowd was awesome. Everything was great, and like I said, you couldn't really ask for anything more for the first time you go and play the Sophie stage. It was everything you wanted to be, and we just came away with huge grins on our faces and went down really well, and then spent 2 days doing interviews. That's what it felt like. So
came away with
it was
a
mega.
load of excellent memories and
it was good, really good.
Photos and everything. It was just a brilliant experience. Yeah.
So you sort of went through the Metal to the Masses route, but not as a Metal to the Masses entrant, really. Then, which is another sort of unique way of getting into it, and it just sort of shows the variety of different ways that bands end up playing at Bloodstock, because it isn't just there isn't just one route. There's a load of different sort of ones, and just getting involved at the local level as well. Because I mentioned in the Metal to the Masses last year, so you guys were judging the final last year, which I was really pleased about, because the way that weekend worked out was that we had 3 finals that weekend. Simon was down in Bournemouth doing that one. Rob Bannister was up in Selby or Nottingham, I think, doing that one. And I was going to Northampton as a punter. And he was like, "Oh no, you can do that." And I'm like, "I'm not judging it. No, I'm not judging it." And he's like, "No, we've got a panel." And I think that's the first time I met you guys properly. Sort of come and sort of chatted to you guys and that sort of thing. So I was glad that I didn't have to make that decision, because again, it was really high quality, wasn't it?
It was tough.
Yeah, it's been like the last 3 years. I think in general, everywhere in the UK at the minute, there's a kind of a bit of a tipping point where even at local level, the bands in general, the standard is creeping up. Like across the board, there's sort of some that are still like treading the boards at like local sort of like pub kind of level. They're trying their best, and getting there where they're getting. But when you hit that point where you sort of start believing in what you do a lot more, and it starts to show on stage, and how you craft your songs, everyone's slowly raising their game together, and you don't see it because you're in it. Do you know what I mean? But then when you go and you see everybody enter a competition like that, you then see 15, 16, 70 bands, whatever, over the course of those few weeks, and they're all playing out their skins. So it's amazing. And they're all bands, the majority of them are all bands that we know and all that sort of thing. And you see everybody coming up, and you think the local scene is literally amazing. Do you know what I mean? There are so many good bands, and I think that's the same all around the UK at the minute.
It's never been this good.
No, it's amazing. It really is amazing, and everybody's
around for enough years, and we know that this is like the most amount of quality bands there have been. There's always been the odd one or two. There's so many. The level is so high now.
You couldn't possibly second guess who was going to win the Metals to the Masses, because it literally any one of the bands in the final could win it. It's just how they play on that day in front of the crowd. Do they nail it or not? And that's it. Literally, it was as simple as that for us, wasn't it? It's like, okay, we've got to go with these guys because they just nailed it on the night.
It's only fractions, isn't it?
And we, you even phoned Simon, didn't you, and said, can we put someone through to the Jaeger stage, just because we couldn't.
It was that tight, and I think that was it was sort of a blessing, because when I had to announce it, I was bricking it. I was not enjoying myself up there at all, because all I could see was a sea of faces, and all I could see was just people that were in bands, and I'm just sort of thinking, was he in the band that's winning? I can't even remember which band he's in, but I know he's in one of the bands, and they're all just looking at you like puppy dogs, as if to say, please say I'm going to Bloodstock, and I'm just like, oh, and I know that half the faces are going to be crushed, and half of them are going to be, but I wanted to tell them that bit, to actually say that's how tight it was, that we actually literally went and just phoned Simon, who laughed at me, I might add, literally laughed, ha, now you've done one final, I have to do 30 of these, and how many times do you think please can we have a couple more space, because sometimes it is literally just so tough when you've got that level of bands. And Nick's sitting here nodding, he's got it with Hitchin. So you got your Metal to the Masses involvement as well. So
exactly, I mean, I'm still getting over last night's. It's only Heat 2, so we're really early stages, but the quality of bands is just off the scale, and I was so thankful that I was not an audience member or a judge last night to try and work out which 2 bands are going through, because it was just completely off the scale.
Yeah, I've always I've been asked to be. Mick's asked me to be a judge down in London, and I just can't. I haven't got the musical expertise to be able to do it. And I know people have said to me, "Oh, well, but you're a punter. You go to Bloodstock. You're in the crowd, so you should be able to say who you want to see." I'm fine to do that as an audience member. I'm fine to say, I will put my tick in the boxes as an audience member, but I think for the judges side of things, I've always sort of thought that needs to be a little bit more knowledgeable about the actual techniques of it, because literally my mate can just say, oh, the drummer's a bit out, or the guitarist shit hot, and I'll be like, I literally can't. I hear the whole, and I always sort of thought, especially as you're getting, like, because Mick asked me to be the judge. I think it was the semi-final. I'm just like, no, too high up.
We sort of on our panels, we just tend to have 3 people, a mixture of punters like yourself and people that play in the bands that are kind of neutral. But it's that mix that come up with the scoring.
Yeah.
So I do like to have people who would be an audience member judging, who are involved in the scene.
I'm happy to put the tick in the box as an audience member, but as a judge, I think I'd find that a bit more.
Fair enough.
Yeah. But that's just me, though, I suppose.
Plus, you don't want, if it's Mick's invited, you don't want to go there, do you?
Yeah. Well, I say, I mean, there's a lot of the judges that we have, some of them are just punters and some of the thing, and it is a good mix, because we've had all these debates about what the fairest way of doing things is. I can't think of it being a fairer way. Bloodstock give out these guidelines to all the regions to basically say, these are your basics. You can, you've got some scope within that as to the way that you do it, but you've got to have some sort of judging panel, some sort of crowd vote, because at the end of the day, they want people to go and see these bands at the New Blood stage, and it's got to be...
Absolutely. And I think it's as fair as it could possibly be at the moment.
Yeah, it is about as fair as it can be. I mean, I know
that way around it.
The heart and passion that all of the Metal to the Masses are shown, it is from the heart. There's no backhanders or anything like that. You can tell it's for real. It's the right way of going about it.
Yeah, and it's the proper sort of grassroots of it, and
exactly.
And it's just growing so much. I think it definitely seems to have got a lot more cohesive over the last few years. I mean, we had when we started the podcast last year and that sort of thing, it was one of the big focuses that me and Andy Pilkington got involved. He did all the branding, and we sort of came on board with that, and everyone had that same sort of look and feel, and it's gone on again this year as well, where you've got new regions as well, so people that haven't done it before, but you've got that experience, and everyone's sort of sharing their experience about the way that they want to do theirs. And you've got things like Manchester that have like launch parties, which is a great idea, where bands that have won before come back and play, but the bands that are entering this year, they just go for free, and they all get to meet each other, and they actually do the draw as to who's going to be playing in which heats, and they've got it all on the wall, all like the slots that go in and all that sort of thing. So they've got a big thing up on the wall, and it all just looks great. It's a brilliant idea. So launch party like that. Simon Yarwood in Leicestershire this year's got like a Q&A night, where it's literally all the bands come along, and anything you want to know about, you need information about that you're not too sure about how it works, including the judging and stuff like that, as to just how the ordering works. People all do it in different ways, so I think it's getting to be a much more sort of cohesive machine now each year, and and we're expanding all the time. We've got 30 regions this year now. We've got Poland and Norway and overseas, and I've spoken to bands from Australia and Japan. I interviewed King Parrot from Australia, and I'm like, get us a Melt to the Masses down there, mate, and I'll go and carry Simon's bags, and we can all go down there for the weekend and that. So
lovely guys, King Parrot.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I had a great interview. We had him on the podcast. I played it a few weeks ago and that. So it's a shame that they couldn't do Bloodstock last year, but hopefully we'll get them back again at some point in the future. So that's pretty much the Bloodstock and the Metal to the Masses sort of chatter over with now. So let's talk about the band for a little while then. So personnel change we'll talk about first of all, because obviously Mr. Plews is sitting here now, having replaced Wayne recently. So what was that sort of process like? Was it because obviously it's not an acrimonious departure or anything, it's a health related issue with him and that, and so was it a long time coming? Was it something that you just sort of known was coming along, or how did it work out?
It was pure luck, wasn't it? The transition, you couldn't hope for any better, could you? I mean, we'd been with Wayne since 1998, so we're all like part of each other's 94 for you, but I mean, we're all like part of each other's families, so it was always going to be weird. And in fact, it was right pretty much where you're sat, where he'd come back from holiday, didn't he? It was his first practice back, and he sat us down. He said, "Guys, I'm going to have to tell you now, I'm tapping out. Back's just not up to it anymore. Doctors said X, Y, and Z," and we were like, "Oh, dude." And it was it wasn't so much of a shock, because we already knew he was struggling to do what we needed him to do, and it wasn't just the playing live. It was the carrying the kit. He couldn't even sit down in the bus to get to gigs. He had to stand and stretch out, and he was just having an absolute nightmare. And it was taking all the edge off it for him. He enjoyed doing the gigs. He enjoyed performing, but it's just the shine had been taken off him because he was in this constant pain. So he just sort of said to us, "Sorry guys, I'm going to tap out, but I'll see it." It was the middle of last year, wasn't it?
He was managing it for at least 18 months, 2
years.
Just painless.
He'd put up with it for ages, hasn't he?
Yeah.
And he'd had manipulation, he'd had all sorts of different things done, and it basically got to a point where the doctors had said, "Look, if you carry on drumming, if you carry on doing this lifestyle, it will necessitate an operation of some kind, and that operation does carry quite a high risk of paralysis. So you can carry on, but this is really, these are your odds sort of thing. And he looked at it, and I think he just thought it's too much of a risk.
Yeah.
And so he said to us, "I'll see it through for the rest of the year," didn't he? He did say, and longer, as long as I physically can. Make sure you've got a replacement trained up in plenty of time. And that's when it was you that first talked about Nick, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Because obviously we then sort of went down the pub and considered our options and what we're going to do, sort of thing.
And obviously with you, Nick, you obviously had the situation with the gas that was sort of coming to an end on that side of things. So the timing just sort of dovetailed, did it?
It did.
Yeah.
Yeah. Gas was winding down. We're all still really good mates. We're a bit like you guys. You've been playing now for years.
Well, Wayne still pops into practices.
Yeah,
now,
exactly. Yeah,
and he really helped out with Nick as well.
Big time.
Yeah,
big time.
Yeah.
But it's the same with the Garces. We're all mates from school, and it just people's lives go different ways, and you have to accept it. And for me, I found it was quite upsetting because obviously it's a part of you that you're used to doing over and over again, and then it goes. It's like a weird breakup.
It is weird, isn't it?
Involving 3 other men,
which is what made it all the more familiar for you.
Thanks for that.
The band banter's getting there already, anyway, isn't it?
Yeah, there is a serious amount of banter.
Tomfoolery. Wait till you turn those mics off; it'll be horrible.
Yeah, they're very reserved at the moment. So
despicable humans.
And I remember I went to bed. Not particularly happy, and then woke up to a message from Neil. So.
Yeah, well, again, on the aghast topic, that's pretty much what brought that about, because I was just scrolling through Facebook, as you do, and a gig flyer, something to do with we were supposed to play some shows with Aghast and Gettiker, I think, up in Scotland.
It was in Scotland.
And for some reason or another, obviously you guys couldn't, so you guys didn't, Gettiker ended up not playing either. So I think we went on our own, didn't we, and just done some shows in Scotland. But that, for some reason, that poster, like the flyer thing with us all on it, just went through my feed, like random out of the blue, and I was like, oh, and I remember seeing it ages ago when we spoke about playing with you guys. Obviously, you'd like check out the bands you might be playing with, etc. And I just saw loads of clips of Nick on YouTube playing stuff at ridiculous speeds and all this sort of thing. I thought, oh, he's a bit tasty, isn't he? Good drummer too. And
I just knew that was coming.
You know it's going, yeah. I saw those and I thought, fuck it, he's a good drummer. Do you know what I mean? That's pretty awesome. And yeah, I thought, look forward to playing with those guys and see them in action. And then obviously when Wayne had said about his back, and we sort of knew it was coming, we could tell it was going to get to a point where he physically couldn't carry on anymore. So you're kind of thinking, do you start looking now? Do you preempt it? And then you feel bad, and it's like. But I saw that literally. How many days was it? Like after Wayne had said, it was literally a day or two. It was like virtually no time at all. And I saw that poster go up with Aghast, Gettiker, and Christopher. And I was just like, Aghast. Oh, and then I remembered Nick, obviously, and I was like, oh, okay. So I had a little look and got in touch with Nick and said, dude, we're going to be in need of a new drummer pretty shortly. Like now. What are you doing? And to cut a long story short, it was like nothing. Let's go.
Well, yeah, it was just before Bloodstock, wasn't it? And I was playing on Sophie with Death Metal band called Corpsing, and then you guys came down and watched that, didn't you?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So it was, the timing was just ridiculously good.
It was days.
Yeah.
It was like, he's here now. Oh, there we go. That was
it. Because it is a big thing. I mean, you mentioned Gettiker there. They had to split up. They literally, because they were looking and they auditioned people, and it was just not happening.
It's getting someone who can play our stuff is not mind-bogglingly difficult. It's difficult. It's hard. But it's to deliver it right. It's hard.
Absolutely.
It's not really, really overly technical, but the bits that we do need to be delivered in a certain way, consistently, over and over and over again. That's just the way we've always worked, isn't it? And so you've got to find someone who's got the talent to do it, someone who's available at the time, someone who can make the practices. Okay, we're lucky we've got our own place, but we're now doing 3 practices a week, so it's a big commitment when you've got families and wives and kids and all the rest of it.
Jobs.
As well. Jobs. So it is a big commitment, and the third thing is you got to get hold of someone who's committed and got the talent, but you can stand to be in a band with. There's hours and hours spent on tours in buses, in very, very close proximity, aren't there? And you just can't.
Generally in some varying state of undress as well, so you need to get along.
You need to get along. So
got to have good-looking band members, or you're screwed.
Or not screwed.
No, well, you say about it not being technically difficult and that, but your live show is renowned. It is. I mean, I'd been told about you guys before I actually saw you guys and saw you Amplified and Badgerfest last year. Badgerfest, I was thinking earlier on, Adi, when you were saying about the level of bands and that lot. That day was just, because you guys, it was your backline, your kit, wasn't it? So you were there all day, and you're very clearly musos because you were watching every single band. And I must admit, as the day was going on, I'm just thinking, bloody hell, this is high standard here.
It was.
And I was thinking, I wouldn't want to be, every band was going on, thinking I wouldn't want to be following them, wouldn't want to be following them. And I was just, by the time you guys had gone on, it's just, I was like, okay, but absolutely blew it away. And
it forced everybody to raise their game each time a band went on. It was like, and you could feel the atmosphere growing and becoming more and more and more.
Yeah.
So when we did climb on stage, it was like we were ready to roll because we'd seen that much decent metal already. It was like we're going to throw down and make sure that we sort of cap the day off.
That was one of the best gigs I went to last year that day, because it was really good. It was really well attended. Lots of people there, early doors and that lot. So
did a good job on that, didn't he? John did a great job.
He's doing a good job of all the things he's doing at the moment. Because we're going back up there soon, aren't we?
Yeah. Well, we'll come on to the gigs that you've got this year as well. So the first one we'll talk about is the Roadmenders, because I've got a bit of a history of the Roadmenders as well. Yeah, when I was in university at Leicester, I used to work for Showsec, and I used to work at the door at the Roadmender. So
you probably threw me out.
Probably it was got to be said.
Disorderly again.
Yeah,
possibly. It's the 52nd consecutive week.
But the Roadmender, I lived in Northampton for quite a long time, and they didn't seem to put that many metal bands on again anymore. They seem to change their sort of the bands that they're putting on there and that lot. So a little bit surprised to see you guys on there. But I remember, like, when I was working there, Radiohead played there. I saw Faith No More play there. I saw an Antipodean cartoonist stroke musician whose name shan't be mentioned in public anymore there.
We weren't making jokes.
No. Yeah.
Can you tell who it is yet?
Yes.
So Roadmenders, that's going to be a fun gig, isn't it?
Be good.
Yeah, we're looking forward to it.
We have not played that venue since 2004.
Yeah.
5.
Well, that's down to Lost Island bookings, in it, and that's Phil. A guy called Phil Walker he's managed to get an in at the Roadmender, because I think I don't know if it was just because they thought they were losing too much money putting on original bands and metal, and the scene for a while, a few years back, kind of took a bit of a low ebb, and it sort of thinned out a bit, if you know what I mean. So I think they just kind of pulled all punches when it comes to putting on original bands, because I don't think they'll probably make enough money. But Phil's managed to get in there, and they put I think the shows now are actually downstairs. There's another room downstairs where they put the gigs on.
Underground.
Yeah, and Phil's had some good bands play down there, like Castle City and Ocean's 8 Alaska, and like some pretty decent sized bands playing down there. They're quite well attended, in all fairness, so he's done a pretty decent job getting in there.
Yeah.
So and that's just, we're just like jumping in on a Lost Islands thing. Is that through Tim?
Through Tim.
Tim's managed to do that one.
Do you fancy doing it? And I looked at the diary and I was like, it's going to work. But I think he gave me 3 dates, and we couldn't do 2, and we could do 1.
Yeah.
But it actually worked perfectly, because we were going to do a Northampton show. We don't do them very often, do we? We really keep it on the down low. But we needed one, and it was just perfect. So we thought,
Yeah, well, I'll definitely be coming up to that one, I should think, because it'd be nice to see the Roadmender, just to see how much it's changed. And so that is March the 15th at the Roadmender, and that is going to be a nice little warm-up for these lovely gigs that you just announced with Obituary and Vader, which is just, oh my word, you must be absolutely delighted with them. So how did they come about then?
Well, I was chatting to one of the promoters that we dealt with on the Decapitated tour that we did back in 2016.
Yeah, 2016.
And it was just like how are you, mate? How's your new year been, sort of thing. And we sort of left it at that. And then literally a few days later, my phone pinged, and it was, how do you fancy going for 3 dates to the Baltics with Vader? So I dropped something into our band chat, and obviously everyone said, well, yeah. So, and it worked out perfectly with the diary and everything, didn't it? You didn't have any bands in, and it was just, it all worked out quite nicely. And then
we played them as well, haven't we?
Yeah, we played with them last year, so that sort of cemented the things. They knew us, we knew them. We'd dealt with the agent before, so they could vouch for us. And then it was their idea. They came back to us. Was it a day or 2 after and said,
it was literally 2 days on it.
Literally, a couple of days, and said, "There's an opportunity if you're TM, Luke, standing in the corner here, nice and quiet, if he can make it work so you can be in Milan for this date and then get across to Tallinn for that date, and it works with the bus drivers and the hours they can drive and all the rest of it, we can put you on with Obituary in Milan on the way out there. And we said, bloody hell, yeah, great.
Yeah, that's a nice little cherry on top, that, isn't it?
Let's do it.
Oh, Obituary, one of my favourite bands ever, so I'm absolutely blown away by the idea of playing with them.
So we had
massive influence on my voice. Yeah, John Tardy, he's what the devil should sound like.
Yeah. So have you guys played out there before, in that neck of the woods before, like Tallinn and Riga and places like that?
In the Baltics, no. We've not been in Estonia, Latvia or Lithuania before. We've been pretty much everywhere else, haven't we, out in the east. We did
the Balkans with Decapitated, didn't we?
13 dates out there with Decapitated, so we covered a lot of it.
From Austria all the way down to Greece and then back up again.
So what are they like these the foreign gigs, the European gigs?
Absolutely brilliant. And I'll tell you what, the people are awesome as well. And they all know English, and they're all really decent top people, and they love their metal. Absolutely love their metal.
Yeah, they really can't. No, they're just so pleased that you've made the effort to go.
Yeah, there's no. Well, from what we saw, there's no. Little pockets, little scenes that they all try and click into within like the metal umbrella. They are purebred metalers, aren't they? Yeah. It's just long hair and biker jackets, and off we go, swish your hair about sort of thing.
Yeah, it was a wicked time.
The coolest thing I saw was total strangers stood at the merch desk. One guy was looking at the t-shirts, looking at the Decapitated stuff and all the bits and bobs that are on sale, and he looked and he realised he hadn't got enough money. And there was a guy that had got less money than him, but so he got no chance of buying something. So he looked at this total stranger and basically said, look, you've got more than me. If I give you this, you can get something. Next time we see each other at a show, sort me out. And he just gave this random stranger his money because he hadn't got enough to buy anything.
Yeah.
So he just gave him it so this dude could get a t-shirt.
That's brilliant.
And I was like, crazy, that is amazing. I thought I was going to follow that dude around.
We worked out was that in Romania? Serbia. No, because I remember one thing that struck me in Romania is before they've done their homework, because to go to a gig like that is expensive for them. What they get paid. They'd done their homework. They checked out the whole lineup, and they were coming in and they knew us. We'd never been to Romania before, but they knew the band. They knew who we were. And they were buying T-shirts before we'd even played.
That was Timișoara, wasn't it?
Timișoara, that was Romanian
wicked gig. That was.
And they were prepared to put their hand in their pocket. And when you think we were selling the T-shirts for the Romanian equivalent of €10, and when you look at the average wage, we worked it out. It was like basically asking for someone in London or Northampton to come to a gig and pay £70 for a T-shirt, and they were doing it. And it was, they were proper fans,
buying albums and getting us to sign stuff.
It was really amazing, absolutely amazing.
Well, you must be looking forward to that then. So that's going to be a good little.
Yeah, it'd be good. It's nice because there's how many countries are in Europe? 50, isn't there, or something? And I think we're now, with the old band as well, we'll be up to about 25 with these, so we've got a few more. We need to do an extensive tour of Luxembourg.
I think metalheads across the whole planet have got a similar sort of outlook and attitude. So when you go out there, you're really talking to your brothers from a different country, really, but in the same way, they're just the same. I feel the same way about the music that we all do. It was amazing.
It was really good.
The whole Europe scene, though, is actually the only time you ever get a glimpse of what it's like in this country is actually Bloodstock.
Yeah.
Because you get that whole unified crowd. It doesn't matter whether you're into thrash, death, whatever. You're there for the weekend and everyone's having a whale of a time. Whereas sometimes you go to shows where there might be 3 completely different bands on, and people decide to go to the bar or go and smoke outside when there's a certain band on that's not quite their thing. You don't get that at Bloodstock. Everybody's in there for the game and just having a great time. You get that in Europe. Everybody turns up for shows. They know there's a metal show, but it might not be their genre, but they're there to have a bloody good time, and they stick around, they watch the bands, and they actually really, really enjoy it, regardless of whether it's their thing or not. So Europe's got that weird vibe to it.
Which, a bit more of a camaraderie, isn't it?
Yeah,
it seems like it.
It's glued together at all the edges, isn't it? And you don't get that in this country, apart from I've only ever experienced it at Bloodstock, which is cool.
The big interview.
Okay, so that's the first part of our chat to Chrysler, and I hope you're finding them as interesting and as engaging as I did. We'll be back with them shortly, as we've got a few Metal to the Masses updates for you, and I also want to warn you all that the Bloodstock ticket deposit scheme is ending very soon. You've got up until February 28th to sign up, and the way that works is that you spread the cost of your Bloodstock ticket over 5 payments. Your initial payment would be £29 plus booking fees, that's £36. Then you'll pay £29 at the beginning of April, May and June before making your final payment of £29 plus delivery costs at the beginning of July, and at that point you'd have just a month to wait until the best weekend of the year, the Bloodstock Open Air Festival. Okay, so let's get those Metal to the Masses updates done and then get back to hearing about some exciting tour dates coming up for Chrysler. We've got an update from Devon and Cornwall Heat 2, but we also heard from a newcomer this week, namely Nikki up in Manchester, who sent in her report but also said in the email, "Please find attached my cringy voice message from our first Heat last night. I hope to God you don't actually play it and you just read it out yourselves, please." Well, I'm sorry, Nikki, but that ain't the way we do things around here.
And now on Bloodstock Radio. A Bloodstock Metal to the Masses update.
Hey guys, it's Nikki here from Rebellion in Manchester, just leaving you a message to say we had our first heat for 2018 last night, and the 2 that we chose to go through were Def Goldblum and Moose. Congratulations to them. They'll be playing the semi-finals on the 12th of April, which should be exciting. Next week, the 22nd of Feb, we've got the second heat with Barbarian Hermit, Armageddon Stereo, Storm Rider and God-Shaped Devil. It's free entry as always, and doors are at 7. Hope to see you there. Bye!
Okay folks, this is June reporting for the Metal to the Masses, Cornwall and Devon area. We had Heat 2 tonight, and what a heat. These bands were really good, really good. It felt like a final. And the band to go through was Etherfield. Second place went to Tane. Well done, guys. And that's us till the 6th of March, where we will have Heat 3 with King Bison, Kilvarder and Concrete Donkey. So we'll see you on the 6th of March at Livewire in Saltash. Doors open at 7 p.m. See you there. Bye for now.
Band chat.
As for the rest of 2018, that's certainly a really good start for you, isn't it? That'll take you up to the end of March, that sort of thing. But when I wandered into the studio earlier on, you've obviously got some new stuff on the way that I had a nice little sneak preview of there earlier on.
That's why I'm looking so terrible, because I'm knackered, because he flogged me on that bass.
Yeah, that must have been with the music.
Yeah, I've
been outside for a few days.
I came up early.
Yeah.
That's what these rings are hanging from the ceiling.
Well, I'll ask the rest of you then, other than Neil then, do you actually sort of find that having someone in the band that's sort of doing the production and doing that sort of thing, does that mean that you've almost sort of got that in-house? Because I've always, when I talk to bands about making records and the likes of Russell up the road here and that sort of thing, and going to them, they say, Russ worked us really hard. To me, it's always been a kind of a, why does Russ need to, why does Russ care about your band? It's just, I don't really get what a producer does and what a mixer does and what a masterer does and all that sort of thing, because I'm not in the music business. But if you've actually got someone in your band that is actually doing that as well, does that bring out the best in you guys and make you work harder as well?
It's even more, because you know the songs inside and out more than what a producer did. A producer, you'd normally go and you might send them a demo a few weeks previous, so he's got half an idea, but if you've actually had a hand in writing it, when someone turns up, you know if it's not 100% right. So it's again, so you get it 100% right. It's nailed on every time.
Yeah, we're all driven by the same sort of goals. We want to achieve as much as we possibly can, so we're all pushing in the same direction. It's not like an outsider trying to find which way we've got to go. Neil knows which way we're going, and we all know where we're going too, so we can all start to work together as one, and that is exactly how it works when we record. It's all hands to the deck, all hands and all minds focused on the job in hand to make sure that we do a better job than we did the last time, and so on and so on and so on, so that every album for us is an achievement and a step up at the same time.
Bands, you find they go to different producers because they might want a different flavour on a record, whereas at the moment, we're 100% knowing where we want him to head, so that we don't need any of the outside influence as to what flavour we need from the recording at this time. We've got that in-house, so it's already catered for, and like you say, we all know which direction we're headed, so it's all just a case of let's get the best thing out of it that we can. So it works really well.
And you've got a good little space here as well, which obviously will help you as well, and we'll do you find that, obviously I can tell from seeing you guys how much you love playing live and love playing on stage and stuff like that, but it also seems that you're also passionate about actually the production of the music and I'm actually putting that together as well.
Yeah, we all are. I mean, we've all got sort of a little something we bring to the band, really, which is another thing. Again, when we were going back to bringing Nick in, he's got his own skill set that he brings in as well, which we're still sort of learning, aren't we, as we go. Yeah, we've all got our own little individual things. Obviously Neil was more the creative side and the production and all the rest of it, but you need to work as a team. You can't have, if you have 5 engine drivers and you've got no passengers, then you struggle. So you do need to dovetail in quite nicely, and we've always done that. We've always been sort of lucky, considering, I mean, we've been playing together since '98, and it was just, we didn't ever set about to you do that. It was just we came with a preset. Okay, I'm quite good at organising stuff, so I'll do that, and Neil's good at the creative stuff, so he'll do that. And then if there was visual stuff that we had to do and put something in front of a camera, we always used to give it to Wayne, because the rest of us hated it and he was just least bad. That was it, really.
Yeah, so then where are we with the music side of things? Have you got any sort of timescale about things, about when things are going to be happening?
We have got a deadline we've kind of put on ourselves.
Autumn time, basically.
Yeah, late this year. Hopefully it will be later this year. Everything will be done and dusted and wrapped up. But we have got some deadlines we want to try and keep to for certain reasons, which we can't disclose just yet.
Yeah.
So, sorry. But but that helps, I think, because I think when you do your own stuff and you can listen to something for a good couple of weeks, and then you come back a couple of weeks and then listen with fresh ears, and you kind of go, no, what the hell are we thinking there? So you keep making changes. And if you're not careful, something that you probably thought you had sewed up 6 weeks ago, you end up starting again. And you go, no, let's start this again. Let me just have another listen. What do you reckon? And then you start changing things. And then things start going over time. And then you start overthinking stuff. And you kind of have to draw a line for certain things and kind of go, right, okay, this is the life of the record before it got overanalyzed. And that's the magic. And as soon as you go over that and you start nitpicking too much, you then start to have a really stale record where everything kind of ticks the boxes in on paper, but it doesn't when you listen back to it. You don't go, well, yeah, that's actually much better now. You probably 6 weeks ago, you were all going, oh my God, that is ripping my dick off. I love it. But after you've analysed it too much, etc., you end up overdoing it, and then you kind of think, well, yeah, it's all right now, it's cool. And it's kind of a little flatter. Yeah, it's a little flatter than what it was.
Spontaneity.
Yeah, so to have deadlines for us to stick to in terms of getting it all done, finished, mixed, and mastered and everything, to have deadlines to keep to means we're not going to keep coming back to it, which is good. And for every record that we've done so far, this is our 3rd album in what? Actually, we were saying earlier on, weren't we?
One every 18 months.
It's a year to the day today that we.
2 years.
Was it 2 years? Sorry, yeah, 2 years. 2 years to the year today that we were recording bass on the first album.
Yeah,
and me and Carl were doing bass today.
Memories, and as I came in here, it said you got Facebook memories. I was like, oh my God, I'm literally doing the same thing. But that was, and I referred to it as the Crystal album because obviously it was the first one.
Yeah.
And here we are on album 3, literally 2 years.
2 years later on the 3rd album, so we don't hang about. Do you know what I mean? But every time we do a record, it's kind of like fate has got a little foot sticking out waiting for us. Just go, dang, I'm gonna screw you up, and you kind of go, okay, yeah, we're just getting on. And all of a sudden, something will drop in our laps, and it's like, if we can get it done by this date, we can get X, Y, Z. And then we kind of have to go, right, okay, let's really knuckle down, make sure we're all happy with it, and it's still exciting, and we haven't got time to overanalyze it. It's got to be right. So you throw yourselves in, you do think everyone's got ears all over it, and you go, right, that's as good as it's going to be in this time. And it's, before you get to the point, like I said, where you overanalyze it, it's spot on. And we've having deadlines kind of keeps you in check, and then you don't end up flattening the record and over producing it and going back and changing it, and then you end up with something that originally you didn't intend. So what month did we say we were looking at ideally?
Ideally September, October.
September or October, yeah. So
autumn is a rough best.
Yeah, but we're on track. So yeah, I don't really want to talk too much about it. I want it to be a nice big surprise.
Yeah, okay.
You're the only person really that's heard anything like in any state of almost completion. All we've got to do on a couple of bits is we've got 2 more tracks of bass to do, haven't we? Either this week or next week. And that's the music pretty much done. We've got to tinker around with some drums and do some bits and bobs on the drums, but yeah, and then it's just vocals after that. So
cool.
And in all fairness, he gets worked the hardest out of all of us.
Yeah.
So yeah, you get a ripe old ribbon, don't you?
Don't bother me, mate. I'm all good for it.
Yeah.
They piss me off, and then I'll sound angry.
Well, the thing is with AD, right? He's got a proper Goldilocks zone where we'll come in, we'll set everything up, everything's good, get the headphone mix just right, sounds good. You start ripping it, and sort of, and you really start getting into it. You think, yeah, this is mega. About 2 hours in, the penny drops, and then he hits his stride. It takes him literally, for studio recording, takes him about 2 hours to warm up fully. And then all of a sudden he'll start doing something and it just goes, and then you think, there we go. So you literally have to get rid of all the stuff you've done over the last 2 hours, delete that, and then start again. But then you've got about 2 or 3 hours where it's absolutely bang on. The tone is just
yeah.
So then you've got to capture everything you've done already and get it right in that time frame. So we have to warm up for 2 hours. Then he comes in and starts really roaring, and then you have to make sure you get all your takes really, really tight, and all the phrasing's good, the syllables are all there. Because I mean, it's kind of I think it's one of our main points is the fact that for a band as like heavy and aggressive as what we are, to have a vocal that's not your atypical bree tree scree, kind of grindy thing, or just screaming for the to the high heavens. It's in that mid-range, and it's really aggressive, but you can understand every word he says.
Yeah.
So I mean, and I think that's quite an important thing for a band like us to have. And it's not a commercial thing that you can understand the words, because he sounds like you've literally just murdered his entire family. It's all, you know what I mean? It's all there, everything's there, but you can understand the words still.
Yeah. And
when you got a message to put over, or the lyrics are actually really well thought about, and it's all structured really nicely, to have a vocal that still sounds mega aggressive, but you can understand all of it, and you can layer things 6 or 7 times and still understand what's going on. That's, I think, one of our things. That's what Simon Hall said. I think one of the first things he mentioned ages ago when we were talking about the band, he was saying how much he loved the vocal.
Yeah.
And you think about bands that Simon is introduced to or exposed to, on the Metal to the Masses and everything. There's a lot of good heavy vocalists out there, but a lot of them do sort of sit in similar areas to each other. So to have someone like AD, who's he just sounds like AD. There's no one else that I know, and that's why we wanted him in the thing in the first place. When even this idea for Chrysler came up, because you hadn't been doing anything for a while, had you?
No,
since Deadeye. Since Deadeye. And I messaged him and I was like, dude, fancy a challenge, old man. Knowing full well he'd be like, old man, what the fuck? So there's an easy way to lure him in. He was just like, come on, old bugger. Hook in there. And he was like, yes, I want to do it. So yeah, we got in there, and like straight away it was like, yeah, there you go. So because I think if we'd have gone with a more death metal style vocal, no, I don't think it would. Like a screamo or death metal-y kind of, I don't think it would have had anything that's set apart from the music. So but he kind of sits on the top, proper like rotted icing on a cake, if you know what I mean. That's kind of what it's like. So.
Yeah, but you can tell from what you just said there about that knowledge that you've got about that sort of 2 hour window and that sort of thing. If you were to be going to another producer, trying to explain that to him and trying to get him to do that, you don't need to do that. You know that. You know how that works. That sort of thing.
That's it. It's a pretty fortunate position to have things how we've got it. It's not to say we haven't sacrificed a fair amount to get it this way. That's what I mean. So it's kind of, it is what it is, but that's how we like it. So we make sure it stays that way, and we do what we need to do to make it work. So but yeah, if you go, I mean, with all the best one in the world, there's some great engineers out there and some great producers, etc., that could probably do amazing work with us. Do you know what I mean? But we know what we want to sound like, and we know how to get those results. And with each record we do, as the songs get better, we learn a little more every time. Even at this stage of the game, where we've been playing together for 20 odd years, you still learn something, and you still come away after you've recorded something going, "Fuck, that was mega." And when you love what you've done, and I think it was Gene Hoglan from Strapping Young Lad. He was talking about Jed Simon and Byron Stroud, the bassist and the other guitarist in Strapping, and he was saying, my job is to impress my bandmates. If I impress my bandmates, I'm doing my job well. And that's what we all sort of do. We all come in with stuff and ideas and sounds and, how about this and that and the other, blah, blah, blah. And if we come away with something that more than what we originally thought of before, then we've done our job. And then collectively, I was making the records, everything, then we've done a good job. So that's what we kind of try and achieve with each one, like Adi said, is to make each one bigger, better, nastier and heavier than the one before. So that's what we've got to do. But deadlines. But that just ensures that you do get the job done, and you don't overanalyze it, and you leave finally with a CD in your hands. When we've finished, and we'll kind of go, how the hell did that happen?
Yeah.
It's all good.
So, the future then, in big terms, in big picture terms, you guys have obviously been in the scene for a long time. There is this talk of a glass ceiling. There is this talk of, record companies and that don't put the commitment into bands that they used to do and stuff like that. So is there a sort of big plan? Is there a sort of where we'd like to be in 5 years' time for Crithler, or is it literally just keep doing what we're doing, enjoying what we're doing European tours with big bands, stuff like that? Where are you at with things?
We've got plans.
Yeah.
Whether they all
smash
come...
that ceiling.
Yeah.
Completely and utterly smash that ceiling.
We've got plans, but you can get to those, the golden ball, you can get to it in so many different roads. You can take very varying avenues to get to your end goal. We just want to be able to take it as far as we can. Now, whether that's still, doing that as we're doing independently, or whether that's working alongside record companies, who knows? But I think the key is that we don't want to give up on what we've got. We want to keep moving forward and being progressively moving forward every time. But we just want to push it as far as we can. So the glass ceiling, yes, we definitely want to smash through it and take it as far as it will go.
It's all about achieving stuff that we've never ever done before, so that that we don't stand still. So that obviously playing for people like Obituary and Vader, and then other bands as well, and other countries. It's an experience.
I think glass ceilings apply differently to different bands. One band's ceiling might be just to go out and play festivals like Bloodstock. Whereas some bands get that sort of thing regularly. So exactly. It's what you. I think it's what you want is your ceiling. If you want to put it that way, don't like Katie said. We want to experience things and go places and do stuff. That's our primary motive. And I think the things that come along as a result of doing those things are what other bands might consider their glass ceiling. If you know what I mean. So we go out and we have fun because we're old mates. We've all known each other for so many. Even Luke. We've known Luke, our sound engineer, and we've known him for years and years, and it's only been in the last. How long we've been working with you now?
About 18 months.
Yeah, and it's only been in that amount of since Bloodstock. Yeah, it's only been since Bloodstock.
18 months.
Yeah, 18 months or so ago that we started working together. And we've known him for so many years, and all of a sudden you start, putting your heads together and you go, hang on a minute. And then you realise there are things that you never thought that you'd, a way of doing things or working together that you'd never thought of it or even entertain the idea. And then all of a sudden you kind of go, why the hell didn't we do this before? How stupid. So you're always learning something, even, in this late stage of the game, as it were.
It's sort of getting to know the right people that can help, open doors for you, really, but trusted people, because we've been sharked so many times over the years.
Yeah.
You are a minnow swimming in a pool of sharks, but there are people in there swimming around that will help and are in it for the right reasons and are genuine. And Robert Stampede has been one of them.
I was going to mention Rob. Yeah, absolutely.
Stampede Press.
absolutely awesome. Rob's been. And it was only when we reached out to him back in end of 2014, beginning of 2015, that we started to sort of talk about the potential of working together, didn't we? And then that sort of came on board, and then I chatted to him. We finally had a conversation. We'd been playing dodgeball on emails for ages, and then we finally chatted, and we were like, oh shit, you played Bloodstock in 2004, I played Bloodstock in 2000, and we worked out that literally Panic Sale would have been going on as we were coming off, and it's just like shit. So I was probably like, there's your bass DI, mate, and and it sort of kicked off from there. And then he phoned me back about a week later and said, mate, we need to do something with this, because I've finally sat down, I've listened to your album. And he said, for me, getting the time to sit down and allocate 40 uninterrupted minutes to listening to a band I've never heard of before is quite rare, because he gets inundated. Poor old Rob. And he said, as soon as I listened to it, I knew we had to do something with this. I was like, yeah, you do. Rob, you're right.
Absolutely.
So I think really we're sort of stood in the procedure where we're trying to surround ourselves with a few trusted people who
need a good close-knit team, don't you?
And it's really like the Magnificent Seven, isn't it, really? Because it's like the five of us, Rob and Luke, and that's basically where that's our nucleus.
Yeah. Well, that's the sort of thing that I think about, because I've been in this sort of underground scene now for like the last 5 years, and I'm always sort of looking for, when I spoke to friends, I've never heard of these bands, and I'm just like, yeah, but you will. And it's always one of those, when is it going to be one of the bands that are playing at these things are going to sort of get up there? And it's always about the sort of independence to me. You guys clearly now, from just spending an hour with you, you've got your own setup here, you've got your production in-house, you've got that sort of things and that, and it almost seems to me as if you've sort of got everything that you need, but it's like, if a label comes in, are you going to lose that independence? Are you going to lose that sort of thing? And you've got to sort of argue with that as to how much of that are we going to sort of give away if they're giving us because they're going to be the quotes industry experts that think you need to go in this direction, and obviously you guys are going to have to decide where that independence goes with that.
There's pros and cons to being with a record label,
and we know
that there are possibilities that a record label may be able to help us achieve things that we can't on our own, but it'd have to be so that we didn't lose our complete identity. So it would have to be a trade-off.
That's worth both parts.
I think it could be,
but we're not closed-minded or anything to anything. It's,
if you go to a record company as a standard band, normally a standard band that probably doesn't know how the industry works goes, well, I want a record deal, so how much are you going to pay me for recording an album? How much are you going to give us for promo? What magazine coverage are we going to get? What radio play? When's it being played on MTV? All of that sort of thing, whereas we'd probably approach it something completely different. As here's a video that we shot, there might be 2 of them, here's a CD that's finished with artwork, this is our PR guy, what would you bring to the table? And put the ball back in their court, whereas we wouldn't be going to a record company with hands out begging, saying we need this and this, because what we've done so far is produce those bits for ourselves.
We've had good and bad experiences, haven't we, along the way, and some of those have been with labels, but I mean, we've been signed twice. We've signed to 2 different labels previously, but we've had 3 other offers from other labels that we've turned down, haven't we, as well? So it's got to work for both sides, really. That's what we say.
Cool. Well, it all sounds good. It all sounds very positive and marvellous. So cheers for chatting to us, guys. And
coming down.
We'll go out with some music. So one of you or all of you can decide between you what song you want to go out on, and we'll hear a bit of that.
Ooh, you fighter! Detox.
Go Detox.
I'll tell you, I've had a real hankering, and I've not listened. I keep thinking I'm going to listen to it when I get home. I keep forgetting to put it on when I get home. Holy Wars.
Okay.
Megadeth.
Holy Wars.
Yeah.
A battery, Metallica.
Jesus Christ. Damage Incorporated.
I could always play one of your songs.
Chopped in half by Obituary.
Obituary,
yeah. Chopped in half.
Dark Age by Vader.
One of our songs, chopped in half by Obituary.
Yeah.
You'd have to mix it in like Steve Ryan.
To be fair, that's a shout. We'll go with Chopped in Half by Obituary to push the. So I think we got a lot of nods around the room for that one. Okay. All right, cheers for chatting to us, guys, and good luck with everything. And I'll see you at the Road Mender. But I might try and hide in one of your bags and get to Europe with you as well.
All
right, cheers, guys.
Cheers, mate.
Bye. He's what the devil should sound like.
Jump it out, feel the blood spill from your mouth. Rotting waves come destiny. Feel the storm taking all it bleeds. Jump it out, feel the blood spill from your mouth. Rotting waves come destiny. Feel the storm taking all it bleeds. By the fans, for the fans. Bloodstock Radio.